Good afternoon, listeners. Here again, leadershipignite.group.com, the amazing Clint Laney and Mike Schmidt. Patrick's out this evening. We'll catch him on the next one, okay? Right now, tonight, it's just going to be a quick one. I want to talk about transformational leadership and how it can sometimes be cyclical. The hardest part is longevity, in my opinion, right? It's opinion-based. Knowing and understanding that it takes time to see results. I am not that patient, right? So it takes me a little bit. Clint, I want you to give me an example, and you weren't prepared for this at all, right? But I want you to talk to me about. So we're going to be talking to individuals that are having trouble. Maybe I don't know if it's motivating their staff, getting through to staff, or even trying to weed out a cancer in their staff. But what is something that you've had to deal with in the past, I don't know, 2 years, maybe 2 years, right? Because there's been a lot that's happened. 2 years has been very eventful for us, you know? So what can you give me an example of something, a challenge that you had with your employees, and tell us maybe a couple of things that you've tried and how it worked?
Okay, so the focus being on transformational leadership, is that correct?
That is, yes.
Okay. The biggest key that I'd like to point out is that transformational leaders, you don't focus as much on making decisions as you do as facilitating organizational collaboration. Okay. When I was at Regent University, I ended up majoring in leadership and organizational management. So this was a topic that we addressed on a daily basis. Our focus was basically differentiating between tactical, servant leadership, transformational, transactional leadership. There's a variety of leadership styles. Transformational focused more on collaboration as things were changing. With COVID in the past couple of years, the focus has been on how to adapt to different styles, how to adapt to different job markets in the home inspection industry. Being able to transform yourself from the way you market, say in a certain way, to how it needs to be marketed because of the transformational aspect, what people are looking at, what people are trying to focus on, whether it's safety, whether it's, I guess you still needing a home inspection, but not wanting to be present. The thing we did was we were able to adapt by getting all our employees trained in, let's say, the COVID protocols, and taught them how to inspect differently, how to inspect in a way that would help our clients, our real estate agents feel safe. Was that kind of the answer you were looking for, or was there a specific?
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. In a world right now, even without the last 2 years, it demands great leadership more than ever, right? We've got to have it in place. We've got in transformational. That's my favorite type of leadership. I've read, and I think, Clint, you've given me 12 different styles. Transformational, I picked it out pretty quick. When I broke them all down and gave them all a definition, without going in depth, like 30 pages for each, just a quick synopsis of which one, what each one does. Transformational is my go-to. That's what I like to see. The one problem is winning leaders, they have to maintain that certain focus, right? It's tough for me to always have that energy sometimes. Okay, so I try to actually lead by that example, but sometimes it's not that easy. Sometimes, you know, like we were talking earlier, everybody has a day, right?
They do.
It's sometimes contagious, and I know it. So I always try to give out the best enthusiasm and encouragement as I can. Mike, I think if I were to imagine what your days and your meetings are like, I would say that you're bringing the energy and encouragement to your clients, because you probably have to interview your clients much like they're interviewing you for the job, right? So you have to find out what they want out of your scope of work before you can build it for them, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah, just like anything else, it's a discovery process going back and forth. Had a meeting last night with a young man who was looking to really grow his company. Um, as the conversation went on, just keeping those questions flowing back and forth, we each found out what strengths, weaknesses, not necessarily weaknesses, but what strengths each of us had, in discovering that we could be a lot more, that I could maybe help him out with a lot more. And then I also discovered so much more that he is also capable of, that I wanted to make sure that I helped him represent through his website. So, with a website, with any kind of marketing, website is oftentimes the window into people's world, with their businesses, right? So I'm trying to get an idea of what gives people the best first impression of what he is capable of, so that he can really take off and find the right clientele from, so that it can, so that that process that I am doing with him, he can do with his future clients as well. Start off with a really, really, really strong representation of who he is immediately.
Absolutely.
Good.
One thing
Yeah.
that I'm not going to ever forget is how to treat customers and remind them that we know that they're number one, and as they will always be treated as such. Oftentimes, I have to hold my tongue and remember that I have to listen. Right, 2 ears, 1 mouth. I do.
Yes.
So it's tough, but even times sometimes people just need to vent. Okay, there's those days as well, right? You just gotta let them talk, let them vent. They feel a lot better afterwards. Just may not agree with them, but hey, they're gonna feel better afterwards. You can see it. You can see their shoulders relax. They're not as tense anymore. Their eyebrows finally go down. I'm like, okay, we're getting somewhere.
Yep.
We're getting some. Is there a time, David? Is there a scenario in which you would consider using, or you would consider yourself more of a, instead of a transactional leader, more of a servant leader, right?
Yes.
Servant leadership being you serving. I think that's big in our industry because you serve so many people, right? And when they see you serving, I think people, in essence, want to help you succeed, right? Do you take that into consideration? That form of
100%. I 100% will, Clint. I think there are other areas that I haven't even tapped into yet that I think. Don't worry. Just because transformational is my favorite today, give me a few. Right? Give me a week.
Give me a few days.
I'll move on. But when I do, it's something with my trait and the way I work. But whenever I focus on something, I fall in love with it. I'm digging in. Like I'm digging all the way down to bedrock. Like that's going to be a cornerstone. It's going to be in the corner of the structure, right? And I take something away, the important stuff, and maybe add to what I can, because I think God puts me in that area to dig there for a reason. So I dig there. I try to spread it out what I've learned, and then I'm like the road runner. Keep up. Let's go. Let's roll.
Let's roll. For our listeners, for people that are listening, right? I'd like to cover really quick the 4 primary elements I believe make up a strong or a good transactional leader. Okay. Number 1 is individualized consideration. All right. This is where you listen to your employees' concerns, and provide an adequate support network. Okay. You don't have to answer everything. You provide an adequate support network for them. All right. This management style just accommodates, all right, various individuals on your team. Another element is, inspirational motivation. All right. You're able to articulate your vision, the vision that you have, and encourage other team members, all right, to meet and to exceed those expectations. You have idealized influences, where you are the model of the behavior, right? Hopefully ethical behavior, but you are the model of ethical behavior. And then last, which is probably one of the most important to keep your employees engaged, is intellectual stimulation. All right. You need to regularly challenge your employees by challenging their assumptions. We as leaders end up having to take risks, but we don't ever do it alone. You need to make sure that as we take those risks, we're soliciting member or employee advice and ideas. That way they feel like they're engaged in the process as well. Thoughts?
Okay, I've got a great one. Bezos. I had to go back to the library today and return the books that were overdue. One of them was a book about Bezos, and he had maybe the most important meeting of the day wouldn't start until 10 a.m. But his meetings that required a lot of thought, they didn't happen in the afternoon. In the evenings, he's like, no, I don't have time for that. But really, his first meeting wouldn't even start until 10 a.m. But 6 things, right? You've got pick 6 things. In fact, Mike has actually even mentioned this to me, right? For getting some things done. You can see my dry erase board. I just added to it a while ago. Like it's got a long list. Tomorrow's going to be a busy day. I plan on knocking some things out here, but you've got to focus on one thing, knock it out. And Mike has said that so many times to me, right? And I'm doing it, Mike. I'm doing it, right? It's a structure that I like, and it's working. Still, time management, I still have a lot to go. There. But the 6 things, right? You don't stop that first thing until it's completed, right? Check it off. And I'm a big check off kind of guy. I like checking that list, man. I feel good. It's a little bit of an energy push right there, right? On to the next. Because when I see things that I've completed, I feel good, accomplished, right? Done. I do. I feel good because I'm one that I will worry about it. I'll think about it. Maybe not as I've gotten older. I don't worry a whole lot more as I used to, but it's still there. So
check out the the Pomodoro technique. You guys heard of that?
No.
Pomodoro, I believe that's how you say it. There's an app called Focus Keeper on the iPhone.
Okay. Yes, it just came out with a new with a new update.
Yeah, it's 25 minutes of work, focus on one thing, and then 5 minutes of rest. You do 4 cycles of that, then you take a half an hour break, and then you just keep repeating that, right? 25 minutes, 5 minutes of break, 25 minutes work, 5 minutes break. And you make sure that those 25-minute segments, you're focusing on one thing. And it keeps you from also spending 4 hours, 3 hours doing something that maybe you can knock out in 25 minutes, right? Because it just keeps you conscious of the time as it passes, right? You don't want to get lost in one task when you've got 10 things to do. If you got deadlines, you got to knock them out. You don't want to be rushing. You don't want to be rushing the last half of the day because the first one just was a time sink, So it's a really good app to use.
It set you back. That first one, if it's not completed on time, will definitely set you back. Then your whole day, you're playing catch up.
Yeah, it just takes everything else down. Exactly.
I like it. Between that and planning, I have to say one thing real quick. On my to-do list, I also I've got something in the back of my mind that I want to focus on, and that is my planning. As an owner of multiple businesses, I'm not thinking about next month. I'm thinking about next quarter. I need to know what's coming next year. I got to have that plan because another book that I've been reading about law of attraction, and I'm a believer. It's a real thing. Writing it down, believing it, being open, and the universe, the way it works. So that's also in the back of my mind. And having those thoughts open, I think maybe when the opportunity presents itself, knowing and to recognize it and pick it up, I think that's going to be a big deal too. I do try to focus on trying to get that instant idea. So I'll spend the 5 minutes on break on those 25-minute breaks thinking about that, Mike. How about that?
There you go. You
5 minutes of break.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Focusing on another task. He's going to be focusing on another task during those 5 minutes, trying to maximize every minute that he's got.
You got to understand the philosophy behind it, man. And you got to get up. You work for 25 minutes, and then you get up. You walk around. You get your body moving again. But then you sit back down and you work. You got to spend that 5 minutes taking a break. You can think about what you're going to do next, but you got to separate. You got to separate yourself from the task at least a little bit.
Incorporate physical activity. You got it, Mike.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up. Just a quick message for today. Just thoughts, end of the day thoughts. Clint Laney, thank you for your time. Mike Schmidt, I appreciate you very much. You guys are amazing. Leadership Ignite Group here, making sure you've got tools for your arsenal.